Hello and welcome back to The Drag Detective. It's been a second, but I got my English teacher coat on and let's talk. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have known what's been going on. At the start of October, I had a grand mal seizure and in the process also fractured my spine. So I wasn't really able to walk. I really wasn't able to sit up for long. I wasn't able to do much. This coincided with, of course, Drag Duel Season 2 coming out. So I quickly fell behind on that. It's been a mess, but I finally have picked up my life together. I'm doing a lot better. I'm able to walk. I'm able to be at my own apartment now. The brain fog is gone. And for anyone who's had seizures, it's wild. It's crazy. It's insane. So we're doing better and I'm back. But also, you're probably asking, why are we doing an All-Stars 10 video and not a Global All-Stars video? Well, I feel like it's been such a rough month for me. And even with this election now happening, we're all struggling. All of us are struggling. And I don't want to make a video right now that is just gonna be negative. You know what I mean? So will there be a Global All-Stars Riggery video? Eventually. Right now, I'm just not in the headspace to make it, and I would rather put out something positive like this where we get to talk about, the queens of All-Stars 10 and how excited I am to see all of them back. So that is that. Also, if you are not already, I would absolutely love it if you checked out Season 2 of Drag Duel, which is live right now. Episode 5 just aired, and I obviously will toot my own horn, but the editing, the storytelling, everything is better this season from last year. Last year was really us trying to figure out what the show was, how we were gonna do it, and just being thrown right in. This year, we learned from all of our mistakes. There's not 2 weeks between every single elimination. I really took my time with this edit, and so far the comments are very positive and people really seem to be living. And this cast is incredible. The challenges have been so fun. They've been doing so well. Amazing runways. I'm just very proud of this, and I would love it if you could give it a chance, because we got kings, we got things, we got monsters, we got queens, we got cardboard. We have so many people that unfortunately you just don't see on other drag competitions, and we are so happy to be able to give them a platform to show off their drag. So if you're looking for a new show to add to your mix, give Drag Duel a try. Link to the channel is right in the description down below. But that's all I think I needed to catch you up on. Let's get to the actual video. Okay, so diving into All-Stars 10. First, disclaimer, we're going to be going over the cast and the supposed twist, but there will be no elimination spoilers. I have actively been trying to avoid any elimination spoilers. I don't know any. So any speculation on my end is just speculation. I don't know any actual tea. Also, there is one queen from season 17 who is on this cast. That is the season that is filmed, but yet to air. So if you don't want to know, who that is, because it would spoil, who doesn't win, one of the queens that doesn't win season 17, I will let you know before we get to that section, and then I will title her little section, season 17 queen, and you can just jump to the next person in the chapter markers. So I think those are all the disclaimers. Let's talk about the twist first, because I am kind of two minds of this twist. I feel like it could go two different ways. I feel like there are reasons why I like it and reasons why I dislike it, and we'll get into all of that. So, how All-Stars 10 is working, allegedly. It is not finished filming. They are filming it in sections. So they filmed the first section earlier this summer of 2024, and they are supposedly filming the next section early 2025. So we don't know exactly how the end game of this season is going to go. There's obviously speculation, there's rumors, but it hasn't filmed yet, so, it could all be BS. So how this twist is going to work is that instead of all, 18 queens coming into the workroom at once, and you heard me, there's an 18 queen cast. They will be coming in groups, kind of like a split premiere where you'll get half the cast in one episode and then the rest of the cast in the next episode. But unlike those split premieres where they come together the next episode, This will not be that. They will be in their groups until it gets down to 3 of the 6 queens in each group remaining. And then we'll move on to the next group. We'll see them get down to 3. And then we'll get to the third group. We'll see them go down to 3 until there are only 9 queens remaining. At that point, those 9 will come together, and that will be the second half of the group. But it's not just 9. There will be a 10th queen, a wild card pick, someone who was eliminated from that first section that RuPaul, the producers, wanted to see more of, basically just like a freebie. And that will be the 10 queen cast for the second half of the season. Now, there's been rumors that, like, there's only going to be 2 or 3 episodes with these queens. I hope that's not the case. I hope we just get to see a regular All-Stars go from there. Obviously, that would be more expensive because there's going to be, like, double the amount of episodes as a regular All-Stars. But this is All-Stars 10. All-Stars needs the adrenaline boost. It needs that, like, shot to the heart to just, like, bring it back to life. And I feel like if they were to do, like, what would that be? Like a 17, 18 episode season where it's basically 2 seasons in one, I think that would be incredibly entertaining. And I hope that's the way that they go. I think if they do, you know, like a 2 or 3 episode finale with these 10 queens, I'm going to be disappointed, if I'm being honest. Because, like, we're going to be watching these queens for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, you know, expecting and hoping and, you know, theorizing how it's going to go when they all meet up. And for that to just be like a, you know, little 2 or 3 episode whatever, it's giving blue balls. It's giving Drag Race blue balls. So I'm hoping the rumors are false and that we get like just a huge, long, intense, iconic summer-long season. We'll see. But pros for this format, in my opinion, I think one of the pros is that we're going to get to see these queens a lot more than we probably usually would, specifically the early outs. Because there's only 6 of them, we're going to really get to see what each of them are bringing. We're going to get to see what all of them have been up to. You know, some of these queens have not been on in well over a decade. So it'd be really nice to see, you know, someone who was on season 2 who, let's say they do badly on this season and go home first or second, we're still going to get some time with them because they don't have to spread the screen time over, you know, 10 or 12 queens. They only have to spread the screen time over 6. So I think that is a huge plus, and I think it's going to actually make this season more competitive for the fans because I think they're going to really fall in love with these queens. Unlike maybe like the All-Stars 8 or All-Stars. I mean, I guess All-Stars 9, the queens were there the whole time, so they did get screen time. But it just felt like there wasn't the, like, Stan Wars that we used to have, which I guess is partly a good thing. But also, I just don't think the queens are getting as many followers or boosts in their career because they go on All-Stars. I think we might see that change on this season. I'm hoping we really get to see these queens shine and each of them have their moments. I think that's a big plus. Another big plus is that I do think this is a really fun idea for a 10th season of All-Stars. Like, if they just gave us like a regular like All-Stars 8, whatever, I think I would be disappointed. I like that they're trying something new. I want to see it. I want to see how it plays out and how the producers, you know, produce it. But I'm liking that they're going in a new direction and not just giving us the same shit, which was one of my big complaints of Global All-Stars. So I like that. Now, things that make me nervous, things that might not pan out with this twist. The big thing for me is that you could have a queen on, let's say, in group 1, and then a queen in group 3. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see them interact. Like, maybe they have beef from their season. Maybe they're friends, but we've never seen them on the show together. They were on separate seasons. Let's say the girl from group 1 goes home before the groups combine. Then that's a dynamic you'll never get to see on the season. Like, part of the really fun part of All-Stars is seeing all these queens that you haven't seen interact before interact. And I'm worried that because so many of these queens aren't going to be making the top 10 where they all combine, we're going to be missing out on a lot of really fun, interesting, potentially dramatic, and satisfying reunions or just relationships in general. And I think that could be a potential hindrance for the show, but also a potential reason to rig it. Let's say you have Diabetti and Crystal Method on. They're in 2 separate groups. And let's say, hypothetically, Crystal's bombing. they might want to keep Crystal around despite her bombing so that she can make it to the second part of the season, and then we get that Crystal Method Diabetes, reunion that everybody wants to see, that everyone is like foaming at the mouth for. So it's just like a potential like reason to rig, but also like maybe like a negative when it comes to storylines or story arcs that we're maybe hoping to see. We might be really excited when we look at the cast and we look at, oh, like this queen and this queen, I want to see them together. That might not happen, and that could be frustrating depending on how things go. I'm unsure how they're going to air it. If they're going to, let's say we have groups A, B, and C, are they going to show Group A episode 1, Group A episode 2, Group A episode 3, then Group B episode 1, Group B, and on? Or is there going to be ABC, ABC, ABC? That could get confusing. And I think it's actually more interesting to like tease who's on these casts and then make you wait 3 weeks to see the next one. And I think it would be, kind of annoying to like have to break in the storylines each week and then remember what they were the week before. And so I hope that we just get to stick with each group for 3 weeks and then move on to the next. I might get a little bit annoyed if we're having to like jump back and forth every single week between these groups. So those are some potential pluses and minuses. But like I said, I'm holding out hope. I think this could be really, really good. And I'm hoping that this works. And I'm really wanting this twist and this format to work. So that's the format. Let's talk about these queens. Now, I want to thank the person who made this specific graphic that I'm going to be using. I'm hoping the person that posted this is the one that made this, because they don't credit anyone in their Reddit post. But user on Reddit, Triassic, thank you so much for this cute little graphic we're going to be using. We will go one by one and reveal and discuss. So first we're going to talk about Group 1. Which has obviously 6 queens in it. We'll talk about the 6 queens. And then I'll talk about the group in general and how I think maybe some queens would do. So the first queen to be on All Stars 10 is a queen that I've worked with, a queen that I adore, a queen I am so excited to watch again. It is Deja Skye. She's been on my channel. I've been on her channel. She is an absolute pleasure to work with. So nice, so kind, so funny, and someone that I was really rooting for on her season. She made it to the very end. I mean, there was only like one episode that she's not in before the finale. She did well. She won a challenge. She was in the top a lot. And I would say on season 14, the one thing holding back Deja Skye was her runways. I mean, as we all should know by now, unfortunately, a bigger queen has to work twice as hard for their runways to come across well to the audience. And I actually think Deja had a lot of amazing runways. Ones that the fans like kind of tore apart that I thought were stunning. And if like a Gigi Good was wearing, I think the audience would have literally like been obsessed with. So that's something that I think Deja, in the eyes of the fans, will need to redeem a little bit. But looking at her growth since season 14, following her on Instagram, seeing her on Work the World or the Vegas show, like, obviously she has a great relationship with WoW. She is still killing the makeup game like she was on season 14. But her looks are even more elevated and stunning. So I think she's coming in with a budget. I think she's coming in with some good connections for runways. And I think she's coming in with the audience kind of behind her. I think that throughout the season, maybe she wasn't like the fan favorite, but people really did fall in love with her. And since then, she's just been known through the Drag Race fandom to be incredibly kind, incredibly professional. Her YouTube channel is amazing. So I think that she's coming in with more fan support this time. And I think she has all the things she needs to succeed and do really, really well on this season. So I'm very excited for Deja Skye. The next queen is from season 15. And she is the pork chop of that season. It is Irene Dubois, now known as Irene the Alien. And I don't know, I kind of wish that for Irene, they pulled a Vanjie or pulled a Cynthia Lee Fontaine, where we just brought her back for a regular season. Especially with how, like, stacked this cast is. I wish that maybe Irene came back for season 16 and then they, like, brought her back. I don't know, I just feel like I would have rather seen Irene on a regular season than an All-Stars first, if that makes sense. But I love her drag. Her personality is 10s across the board. And I think that this time around, production sees what they have, and I don't think they're gonna let it go so easy like they did last time. Not saying that she like didn't deserve to go home. I think she obviously did, but I think that she might have a little bit more of a cushion this season, knowing how good of TV she made in just the 2 episodes that we saw her. So I have high expectations for Irene. And I think that production also has high expectations, which is why she's here. Up next, we have Olivia Lux from season 13. A very disliked season, but I think there's a lot of queens from that season that I would love to see come back and that are actually on this cast. Olivia made it all the way to top 5. She won 2 challenges. She kind of had one of those trajectories, though, where she started off super strong. Top 2 placements, highs, 2 wins in a row, but by the end of the season, she did lose steam, and I'm pretty sure the last 5 weeks that she was in the competition, she was either low or in the bottom. So I'm interested to see where Olivia is now. Obviously, she was in the ballroom scene. She joined the House of Mugler Miami. She's been on what's The Weakest Link, which I love that episode. If you haven't watched that, it's on Peacock. It's like with all drag queens, and it's like Pickle and Scarlet Envy and Olivia Lux and some other like iconic queens. It was a really good episode. But I liked Olivia. I wouldn't say she was like my winner pick on season 13, but I think that she can come into season 10 of All Stars and really show her growth, show where she's at. She was pretty young on her first season, so I'm really, really interested to see where she's at now. I will say I haven't followed her career as closely as some of the other queens on this season. So she's a little bit more of a question mark for me. She's not like a Deja for me, where like I know exactly what that bitch has been up to. But that's what's exciting to me, is like I don't know exactly what she's gonna bring, and so I can't wait to see it. Up next, we have Bosco from season 14. There's a lot of 13 and 14 girls on this season, and I guess 15 too. Bosco is someone who I knew was going to come back because she immediately was on the Vegas show. She was immediately doing Work the World. Like, she was immediately, like, brought in by production to, like, go on all these tours and do all of these things. And she just has, like, a really good TV personality. Like, she's shady, she's a little bitchy, but she also has a lot of heart, and I think she has a great balance of both of those things. That's what makes a great reality TV character. And I think that she obviously has gone on a huge gender journey, coming out as trans and really just like growing as a person. I think that we've been watching her grow these last couple of seasons. So she's another one whose runways were a little bit not beloved by the fans. She was known for her bra and panty sets. So I think she's going to come in with, like Deja, more budget, more connections to designers, and I think that she is going to kill it. Next up, we probably have the biggest wild card of this group. We have Phoenix, who went home second all the way back on season 3. Now, Phoenix is someone who, despite being an early out on a season and really like not being hugely referenced ever on the show, like if you only watch the show and you don't follow anyone, you don't keep up with, the drag world, you would not remember who Phoenix is. But if you do keep up with the drag world, you would know that Phoenix is a huge presence in Atlanta. She is constantly, like, hosting shows and booking her own shows, and, she does a lot in the scene there, and knows all of the Rue girls, is friends with all of the Rue girls, so, like, I'm not really surprised to see her here. It's just interesting because everyone else in this group is from a newer season, a VH1 era to like now season, and she's gonna be the one who feels like maybe she's on the outs from that. But that's also a potential storyline for her. Like, I'm the old school drag, you guys are all the new school drag. Like, let's see how I stack up. So I'm excited to see what she brings. I hope that she is able to have like a James Mansfield trajectory and not like a Monica Beverly Hills trajectory, if you know what I mean. And that leads us to our final queen from the first group, and that is Aja, who is also been on like one of the most insane journeys of any queen from Drag Race, because first she like quit drag. It was like just focusing on her rap career. Then she got back into drag and got really into the ballroom scene. Then she was on Legendary with her house. And she's doing, like, spiritual readings on Instagram. Like, she's been through a lot. But she came back for All Stars 8 as a lip-sync assassin and was the best lip-sync assassin of that season. So it was really, like, I thought that was a good sign for, like, Aja coming back for an All Stars. So I'm not very surprised that she's here. I just hope that she gets treated better than she was treated on All Stars 3 because I thought she killed that season. Could have made the finale, could have made the top two, but they just did not see it for her. So I'm hoping that now they do see it for her because she has so much personality. She's so unique, and I think she's going to bring a lot to the table. So, looking at this group of 6, what are the relationships? Well, we have Deja Sky and Bosco, who were on season 14 together. We have Olivia and Aja, who have like the ballroom ties. I'm sure they've, hung out and stuff. And the one that's most interesting to me is Bosco and Irene. They are not from the same season, but they're drag sisters, I believe, both from Seattle. And I think that Bosco getting on season 14 is kind of what led to Irene getting on 15. So they are like really, really, really good friends. Probably closer than anyone else in this group and potentially on the cast. So seeing how they interact, seeing how they might help each other, it's going to be really, really interesting. And it's one of the relationships I'm actually most excited to see from this entire season. And I'm sure I'm going to miss like some random, relationships on this cast. But those are the ones that really stick out to me. So who do I foresee being the 3 that make it to the next round? I'm going to pick 3 from each group, and then I'll pick a wild card of like someone who I could see getting cut, but who I also could see maybe making it through or getting picked as that like 10th wild card pick from production. I think that Deja has a very, very, very high chance of making it to the next round because her drag is so polished. She has so much personality. And looking at this group, it's not a very comedy-heavy group. So I could see Deja snagging any kind of comedy challenge, like whether they do like a snatch game or an improv or, a stand-up. I could see her doing well at all of those. She did go home on a stand-up, but she's just like naturally funny. I feel like she will come in with an even more refined comic timing than she even did on season 14. So I would say Deja is like a really big pick for me. I'm also going to say Aja. I think that Aja showed that she's really good at Drag Race on All Stars 3 and has grown so much even since then and has this kind of new ballroom influence to her drag that I think will really make her even more of a star and polished and bringing more to the table than she had on All Stars 3. So those are the 2 that I'm like, yes, I see that for you. The third I'm going to say is Bosco because kind of like Deja, if there is comedy involved, I think Bosco's going to do well. I do worry for her with like maybe some fashion stuff, but she really didn't do badly at all on her season except for maybe her performing skills. That was really when she struggled, the lip sync tournament or the Rusical. Her finale performance was probably the worst, sorry, Bosco, of the 5. So as long as she has improved her performance ability, which she's been touring nonstop, I'm sure she has, I think she is going to be fine. The other 3, Irene, Olivia, and Phoenix, there's just like something about all of them that's like, I'm not sure. There's just something about Deja and Bosco and Aja that I'm like, yes, I see it for you 100%. The other 3 is just like a little bit less. But if I had to pick a wild card choice, I would pick Olivia Lux, only because I do think the show likes her. I think that she's pretty easily brandable and all the things that the show really likes to like push with their queens. So I could see the show being like, Olivia, you went home, but we just want to see a little bit more. So those are my thoughts and predictions for the first group. Now let's move on to the next group. All right, now we have group 2. Now, this one, low-key, it might be the one I'm, like, least interested in. Like, all 3 of them I'm excited for. But this is the one where I feel like I have the clearest idea of how it's gonna go, just based off who's here. And this also includes the season 17 queen, so we're gonna do her last. I'll let you know again before we get there if you don't want that spoiled. But first up is, from season 14, another season 14 girl, Carrie Colby. Season 14, I love this season. I love this cast. Season 14 is that girl. And Carrie has, I don't know, like I feel like she had all the pieces on season 14. She just didn't know how to use them or like put them together to like make the puzzle. Like she had the personality. She had the makeup skills. She had the fashion taste, like everything she had. It's just she could not put it together. But she did shine the most in confessionals. I feel like she will be the confessional queen again in this group. I cannot wait to see some of her dynamics with other queens in this group. I'm so excited to see her again. I love her. She was so lovely on Maddie Morphosis's show, Give It To Me Straight, getting to learn about her backstory and her history and where she's come from. Like, I feel like just from watching Give It To Me Straight, I know so many of these queens like even better now. And I'm very excited for Carrie. Up next, we have kind of the wild card pick for this group. Which is Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. Again, would be really excited to see like Phoenix and Nicole together, but like, will they be together? I don't know. They both would need to move on. And I think Nicole is like, she's mentioned all the time, but she's never like featured on the show. Like when like there's certain like queens like Stacey Lane Matthews or Pork Chop who are like always cameo queens, but like they've never even had Nicole cameo since like I think she was in the audience for one of the like maybe it was the All Stars 2 stand-up challenge, but she's like a staple of like the memes on the internet of like, you know, and people making different acronyms of her name. Like she was just featured in Mistress Isabel Brooks's YouTube channel with cameos. I would just love to see where her drag is at now. Like, she's not, like, the fiercest on social media, so it would be interesting to see, like, what she could do with, like, the runways. And I do think she has a lot of natural charisma, so I do think she could do better than her first time, which was, like, 15 years ago at this point. Up next, we have Mistress Isabel Brooks. Low-key, can I say something? I'm gonna say something. I think she should have waited. I think Mistress should have waited, like, 1 or 2 more years, only because like I do see her as like a potential winner, like in the winner circle, but like on this season, which is like stacked with people that I see as winners, like I wonder if Mistress could get lost in the shuffle. Only because, like, she was just on. It's not like she's gone through some, like, huge transformation in her drag or anything. Like, it's still pretty much what it was on season 15 because it was, like, quite literally a year ago. So, I don't know. I wish she just kept growing her YouTube channel, focused on that and, you know, bookings and all of that and waited, like, 1 or 2 more years. But I still think she's going to be hilarious on the season. I want to see her and Carrie. I want to see Mistress and Carrie Colby, like, kikiing and getting along and, like, talking shit on the other girl. I think they are going to have such a cute dynamic. And I love Mistress. She might have me blocked, but I love Mistress, and I've always loved Mistress. Up next, we have someone who I hope gets a better reception this time around. It is Tina Burner from season 13. Now, she's kind of like one of the meme queens that people on the internet like to make fun of because she didn't have the best showing, but she did go into the season with one of the, I would think, biggest names because I knew who she was and she'd been mentioned a lot. I felt like, you know, she's from New York City. She had a big presence coming into the season and she just did not live up to expectations, we'll say. But it's been a solid few years since she's been on. I really haven't been following her that closely, like with some of the other people on this cast, so I don't know where her drag is at or what she's been up to, but she definitely is someone who I think the runways need to be stepped up, the makeup needs to be stepped up. And if she can do both of those things, she has a lovely personality and a really good perspective on drag. So I would love to see like the glow up of Tina Burner. And not just for me, but like in the eyes of the fandom. Like I want to see the fandom loving on Tina Burner. Then we have maybe one of the weirdest choices on this cast. It's Jorgeous, who, yes, you're probably thinking the same thing I am. Yeah, she was just on All Stars 9. But what I'll say is I never did my, like, unriggery video on that season, but I do think that Jorgeous was overlooked. I think that there were just people that production cared about more than her on that season. So her getting, like, another shot, I'm not the most mad at. Like, if everyone on All Stars 9 who you could bring back, I probably would pick Jorgeous. I mean, famously was not a fan of her on season 14. No hate, just was not vibing with her on season 14. And I loved her on All Stars 9. Every week on the podcast, I was just gushing about how much I loved Jorgeous. So I'm down for more Jorgeous. And I think that in this group, like, I think that there's so many, like, bigger personalities, like Carrie and, like, Mistress, that Jorgeous can kind of just, like, chill. And, like, I think she'll kiki a bit with them. I could see them being, like, a trio. And, yeah, I think it's going to be really cute having Jorgeous back. I'm very, very excited for her. And then last up from this group, we have our season 17 girly. So skip to the next chapter in this video if you don't want to know. Her name is not in the captions, it's just season 17 queen. It is Lydia Collins. So obviously we don't know anything about her from the show. I know of Lydia because she's really big in the online drag competition world. So naturally, like, having Drag Duel, like, I know some of the performers from Drag Duel that, like, know Lydia pretty well, and we're mutuals, and I love her drag. So I'm excited to see someone who's, like, really big in the online, like, drag competition community get on. It's kind of like having, like, Asia from Survivor this season on. Like, someone who was big in the Survivor online community being with, like, Rob as a podcast getting on is just, like, really fun and kind of meta. So I don't know what to expect from her on the show, but obviously she has to leave an impact if they immediately called her back. Now, what we believe to be true is that she was a fill-in for both Maddie Morphosis and Mirage. Maddie Morphosis was ready to go on the season, dropped out last minute. Then they called Mirage, who was an alternate. Mirage turned it down, probably because she just went to the Vegas review show. And then they called Lydia Collins. So it wasn't like they were like foaming at the mouth, like, we need Lydia back immediately, put her on the cast. But the fact that she was just in the conversation and was like the second alternate in line makes me very excited to see her on season 17. And her Instagram is fierce. She's fierce. She seems so nice. I'm just excited, but she's kind of it's a question mark. You know, we haven't seen her on Drag Race. We haven't seen what she's gonna do on her season, and I can't imagine it would be an insane amount of growth from season 17. So she must have been in a pretty good spot already for them to want to bring her back so soon. So now my prediction, we'll do the relationships. Relationships from this group. We have Carrie Colby and Georges, who were on season 14 together, and I think we'll probably Kiki in this group. And then that's it, because you have Nicole, who's from an early season, Tina is from season 13, Mistress is from 15, and they're kind of spread all over. Like, Mistress is in Texas, Tina's in New York, Nicole is in Georgia. Like, there's not as many relationships in this group, but that also makes it really interesting. I do really think that Carrie and Mistress and Georges are going to be like a little clique. But if I had to choose who I think the three moving on are going to be, this one is very clear to me. If I had to bet money on it, I would feel pretty confident betting money. I think it's going to be the season 17 queen, who I won't mention her name again, Mistress, and Georges. I think if they're bringing back Georges back-to-back seasons, there's no reason why she shouldn't move on to the end. It's obviously because they liked what they saw and they wanted to give her the platform again. So unless she truly flops, I think she's going through. Mistress is Mistress. And then the season 17 queen, they obviously love as well and must do pretty good at Drag Race to be asked back so soon. So those would be my three picks, with my wild card being Carrie. I hope that Carrie actually makes it through. I would love a whole season of Carrie. I'm just not sure where she's at, in competing. Because we even knew she has a personality. We even knew she has everything she needs. It's just, can she apply that to the challenges? I'm interested to see, and I hope that she really does. We have our last group, and this is the middle group for me. Honestly, the first group is most interesting to me. The second group, least interesting. This one is right in the middle. I'm really excited by some choices and less excited by others. But we're going to start with one of the queens that I've been begging for to come back for so long. If you've been a fan of this channel from the start, when it was Drag Race Rankings, then you will know that my first ever video I put out one of the first ever I put out, was a fantasy season of All Stars 5. So that was before All Stars 5 even came out. And this queen was on it. And I have been begging for her return ever since. It is, from season 8, Acid Betty. Insane that it took this long for her to come back. She was such a good villain on season 8. She had such a unique perspective on drag and so much talent when it came to outfit construction and makeup and all of it. And I really, really, really am excited to see her back. She's kind of been a little disconnected, I would say, from the Drag Race fandom. Probably because the fans were like, she was a villain, so the fans weren't like, thrilled with her. But she's been on the pit stop and stuff, so I'm hoping that this is like the Betty Sans. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready for it. Then we have Denali, who is someone else I am so excited for. I know it's kind of like, doesn't everyone love her? But yeah, because she's fucking incredible. I am a humongous Denali stan. So I'm like begging, pleading, praying that she makes it to the second half of the season. She's done so much since her time on the show, but not the stuff that you would expect. You know what I mean? You would expect her to go on like a Work the World or a Vegas show because she's such a performer, but she's kind of just done the touring game. She's done a lot of like Instagram stuff. She's done like ice skating videos where she skates with queens from the show and kind of teaches them how to skate. She's like been consistently around, but I feel like it's the perfect time for her to come back because she's not like still, at the forefront of every fan's mind. So her coming back for All Star 10, I think is perfect timing for her. She's grown so much. She did so well already on season 13. And if it wasn't for that makeover twist, I think she could have gone all the way. But I'm excited for more Denali. Then we have a question mark pick for me, which is Alyssa Hunter from season 14. Now, she was the second out, fully did not deserve to go home when she did. It was one of those things where, like, she deserved to be bottom two, but she won the lip sync, but they just liked Carrie more than her, so she went home instead. I feel like she was kind of robbed in the ball. They just were not seeing it for Alyssa on season 14, and I think part of it is she's very quiet. She's very chill. And upon watching her Give It To Me Straight episode with Maddie Morphosis, I feel like I understand her a little bit more. But I don't know how to say this without being a little bit shady, but I'm just going to be a teeny bit shady. Alyssa is an incredible queen. Her drag is amazing. Her performing is amazing. But she's going to need to show me more personality on this season of All Stars if I'm going to be, like, sold. Like, if I'm going to picture her at the end, I need a little bit more. Because even from that Give It To Me Straight episode, I don't feel like I got to know her as well as someone like Carrie Colby or even like Mrs. Kasha Davis. You know what I mean? Like, there's some really great Give It To Me Straight episodes, and there are some fine Give It To Me Straight episodes, and Alyssa's was fine. But obviously she has one of the greatest unseen packages of all time. Everyone was waiting every week on bated breath to see what she was going to post for the runways that she didn't get to show on the show. So I'm sure that her runway game is going to be incredible. I want to know more about her. I want to see who she is because I just feel like she gets a little bit camera shy. Then we have another choice. I'm like, okay, I don't want to be mean, but I'm going to be honest. I'm not thrilled with this choice. It is Ginger Minj, who is from seasons 7, All Stars 2, and All Stars 6. Now, the reason why I'm not thrilled with this choice is because this is her 4th time. And I feel like there are so many queens who I still want to see their 3rd. You know what I mean? Like, there are so many queens from All-Star seasons who it just was, like, almost for them, but, like, it didn't come together. Like, a Thorgy, like, a Derek Barry. Like, there are so many queens I'm like, give them their 3rd chance. I don't need a Ginger Minj 4th time around. It's not like an Alexis Mateo or a Kennedy Davenport where I still feel like they had more to show. I really feel like Ginger showed everything she had on All-Star 6. She had so many incredible moments. She made it all the way to the end. She showed that she could have better runways sometimes. She showed that she, can win lip sync still. Like, I feel like she showed us everything. And upon, watching her in the last few years, I don't know what more she could bring that is worthy of her being on another season, if that makes sense. Like, after watching All Stars 5, like, I wanted more Alexis Mateo. After watching All Stars 3, I wanted more Kennedy Davenport. But I didn't watch All Star 6 and say, oh, I need more Ginger Minj immediately. I thought that about, Trinity K. Bonet. I thought that about Jan. I thought that about Scarlet Envy. And, a Ginger's drag is just not, it's not for me. It's not my taste. It's not my vibe. And that's fine. She's great at what she does. I just wish there was, like, a Thorgy or a Derek Barry or a Trinity K. Bonet or someone that I feel like just has a lot more to show. And I just feel like Ginger's shown it all. But that is an open invitation for her to prove me wrong. And I've been proven wrong many, many a time in these, preseason casting things that I've done. So, Ginger, please prove me wrong. And I am happy for you. I hope you make the most out of this opportunity. Then we have Cynthia Lee Fontaine, who is from season 8 and 9. She didn't make it very far either season, but she's just one of those queens where, like, it doesn't matter if she's not destroying the competition. I'm just happy to see her on my screen. And since season 9, she's just been, like, in the comment section of every single queen ever from the show, giving them compliments and being the nicest person ever. She's been so nice to all of us content creators. I love Cynthia. If I had to pick one congeniality for the entire US Drag Race show, I would pick Cynthia Lee Fontaine. She has so much love in her heart, and she just wants to share it with the world. And I'm so happy for her. So happy for her to be back, because I mean, let's be honest, her season 9 return was nothing special. She did fine, but she went home kind of soon, and they could have easily just been like, okay, like, there's no point in bringing her back. But it's been like 7 years since that, and she's obviously grown a lot. I'm excited to see what she brings, and I'm hoping that she is able to kind of fit her drag and fit what she does best into the mold of Drag Race a little bit better, and like apply that to the challenges. But we'll have to see. But I'm very, very happy for Cynthia. And the last queen on this cast is one that I am also very, very excited for, and that is Diabetti. She is from season 14. Basically, like, that entire season 14 top 5 has come back now, except for Lady Camden. Actually, the top 7. Who got 8th? I think 8th was Jasmine. So everyone besides the winner and Lady Camden from that top 7 has returned after this season. And I mean, it's an iconic cast. That is an iconic cast. Even Carrie Colby, who was 9th place. So yeah, Jasmine, Lady Camden, and Willow Pill are the only ones from the top 9 to not return. A great cast. And I love Daya. I loved her on her season. She was just so real. Maybe she got a little bit of a villain edit at the beginning, but I feel like by the end she was very much fleshed out, and we understood where she was coming from with all of her opinions. And I think she was robbed of a couple like potential challenge wins. I love her. I love her so much. I love her drag. I love her kind of alternative, weird aesthetic. And I would love to see her come back and fucking annihilate the season. So this group, the ones that I'm excited for, I'm so excited for. The ones that I'm not excited for are some of the ones I'm like least excited for on this cast. But it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out, because I think what I would want to see from this group and what we're going to get from this group are probably not going to be the same thing. If I had to place money on it, I would say the 3 going through to the second part of the season are Denali, Ginger Minj, and Diabetti. Now, I would love for Acid or for Cynthia to take one of those spots, but I don't see them bringing Ginger back and her not going all the way to the end again. I just don't. Unless we have like a Eureka Canada versus the world moment, which I just don't see, because Ginger's so talented and she's so good at Drag Race. And that's almost why I'm kind of like, you don't need to be here. Like, wait for a Legend season. Because I just feel like of everyone on this cast, Ginger's the one that's like the best at Drag Race and has proved it time and time again. So looking at relationships from this group, though, there's really not that many. Diabetti and Alyssa were both on season 14 together, but they didn't really Alyssa didn't last very long. And then Acid Betty and Cynthia were on season 8 together, but Cynthia didn't last that long. So this is just kind of like a random grouping. And I honestly feel like outside of the first group, there's not a ton of relationships to talk about. There's actually more like in different groups like that I would want to see combine, which is another reason why that's like a worry of mine, is like there are more relationships that are separated than are together in these groups. So we're just going to have to see which ones, make it to the merge, we'll say, and which ones we aren't going to get to see unless there's some type of reunion, which I would imagine an 18 queen reunion. That would be psychotic. So I'm going to make a couple more predictions. The top 4, I don't know if they're doing a top 4 or top 3, I don't fucking know, but I'm going to guess a top 4 and a winner. I think from this cast, I could very much see the top 4 being Mistress, Georges, Ginger Minge, and then I'm kind of torn between like Aja, Bosco, and Daya, but I'm gonna say Daya. I that's gonna be my top four. And if I had to pick a winner, I gotta be so real, guys. I'm looking at this cast, and like Ginger's just kind of giving me the Alaska, the Jimbo, where it's like they're just so good. I don't know how they don't win. And I don't want to say this season's like made for Ginger to win, but I just don't know who would be her biggest competition. I guess Mistress. But then again, we have the season 17 queen who is, question mark. We have some of these other queens we haven't seen in a while that who knows what they could bring. So I'm very, very excited for this season. Obviously, we're like 6 months away. We have a whole regular season to get through before we get here. But I'm very, very, very pumped. It's going to be an interesting... This is either going to be incredible or it's going to be terrible. There's no in between. And I feel like that's how All Stars has been for the last, basically since All Stars 4. They've been either the whole, worst season of the year or the best season of the year. And I'm hoping it's the best season of the year because we need, we need some All Stars redemption. Not even for the queens, but for the show itself. So I am very excited. And that is all for today. Thank you again for being so nice, sending so many nice messages during my little recovery period. That was very, very sweet. I'm glad to be back. Regular videos will be posted every week, and I have some really fun ideas coming up. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss another video. Check out Drag Duel. Go support some iconic local talent from around the world. And all of the links to my social media are in the description down below. So it's good to be back, and I will catch you all in the next one.